Kia ora te whānau, and welcome to On The Record with Ray, a Play It Strange podcast. Ko waiaho, I'm your host, Ray, award-winning artist, producer, engineer, and of course, Play It Strange alumni. Join us for a deep dive into everything it takes to make it in the music industry in Aotearoa. Let's go. Today in the studio, we have Chris van der Geer. I don't even know where to start with Chris's bio. Chris is a musician, engineer, producer, and co-founder of Bigpop, where we're actually recording this podcast today. He's a two-time Aotearoa Music Awards winner for Best Engineer and Best Producer, and has picked up 9 TUI awards as part of Stella. While with Stella and signed with Sony Music, Chris supported Alanis Morissette and Garbage and has toured and played all over the world. As an engineer, Chris has worked with the poppiest pop acts through to the heaviest modern metal and hardcore punk, including Dave Dobbin, not so hardcore punk, that one. Tim Finn, Straw People, and Carly Binding. In 2005, Chris formed Bigpop with his co-founder Joost Langeveld. Bigpop is an independent record label, music publisher, recording studio, and does audio post-production. Artists on Bigpop's lineup, they include Chai, Isla Noon, Juju Lips, and Jason Parker. Some amazing talent there. Sheesh. Okay, after that intro, I might need a bit of a moy, a bit of a nap. But today we're talking about how to nail your first or second or third studio session, how to prepare, what to expect, and how to make the most of it on the day. Kia ora, Chris. Thanks for coming in for the kōrero.
Kia ora, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, how are you feeling today?
Pretty relaxed, actually.
Yeah, you're just recording it, just chilling in your own studio.
Just having a chat.
That's
all
it.
fine.
That's all we do. So yeah, when it comes to anything in life, we all know preparation is key. But as an emerging artist, having never set foot in a studio before, can be a bit intimidating. So what's the most important thing someone can do to prepare for that situation?
I think, there's definitely kind of numerous things you can do to prepare. I think kind of the obvious ones is like, demo your track.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you kind of work through potentially what arrangement and structures you want for the song, and kind of try all that at home as much as you can and if you're working with, say, band, do the same thing in your practice room.
Yeah.
So that at least a lot of that groundwork's completed before you walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think kind of if you're working with any personnel prior to going in, like a producer, great to have a meet before the day to discuss maybe where you're at. And things like, some real obvious stuff, which most people sometimes forget, but it's like putting your strings on your guitar, get the intonation fixed.
Tune your guitar.
All those things kind of means that your source sounds are going to be better when you walk in. You're going to be more prepared, got to make the engineer and producer's job easier. I think kind of things like, having full lyric sheets written up, maybe a few copies that engineer and the producer can have on tap for when they're doing vocals with the singer. Even rest of the band to have. Half the time they won't even know the lyrics. So it's good for them to read it.
Especially the drummer.
He definitely pays no attention. And then another real good, and this is more to kind of get a direction for the engineer producer, especially if you're walking in cold, is have some reference tracks, and it's kind of...
That's true.
Yeah, they've got to be realistic to where you are as an artist. So picking songs that are completely irrelevant or kind of don't really encapsulate what you are as an artist aren't helpful. But say if you kind of, if you're more of an EDM synth pop, pick some artists you kind of aspire to, and it might be a situation, you might have 3 or 4 songs. You go, hey, really like the drum program and all the sounds on this track. I like the vocal treatment and effects on this song. I like the synth sounds on this one. And it could be a combination of the 3, but it'll give producer and the engineer a really good starting point to go, okay, this is where they're heading. This is what we're trying to get out of the day.
And if you can explain what you want or what you like about each of those tracks, then it becomes a whole lot easier. Yeah,
and I think that's kind of like, especially for younger artists, it's kind of, those reference tracks can become your kind of musical language. Because it's kind of, initially when you're starting out, you may not know terminology or actual technical jargon of synths or gear or mic pre's or compressors or all the gear surround you. But if you go, hey, this is kind of, I like this particular keyboard sound, the producer and engineer know what we're talking about. So it's kind of it's a way to sort of common language for you guys to discuss music. You
might not know how to talk about like boosting 10K, 20K on the vocal, but you can just show this vocal sound in this song and be like, I want it to sound like this.
Yeah, okay, cool. It's bright and airy. Fine, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so exactly.
I think that's putting that time in prior to walking in on the day is really good.
Yeah. Yeah, so some people will like to, if it's their first time in the studio, they might want to bring a someone with them for tautoko,
Yeah.
just to make them feel, you know, better, more at home. What's your thoughts on this with younger and emerging artists? Like, who do you think would be best? Like, music teacher or parent or friend? Like, yeah, what's your kind of experiences with bringing someone into the studio?
Yeah, combination of any of that. I think especially, like you said, as a younger artist, and especially, say, even play at strange artists when you could be 14, 15, 16, I think studio's meant to be a good safe space for you.
Yeah.
It's kind of where you want to feel safe, able to express what you want to enjoy the day. So I think having someone who you feel is a support for you is really important. And probably on a more musical level, this could well be the music teacher, because it's likely, especially throughout school years, probably the person that is being their main sort of music advisor or mentor.
Yeah.
So they probably understand what the artist is capable of best, and they can probably help maybe get the artist to feel more comfortable, get the best out of what they can do.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes it could be just having a really good friend around that you can keep you calm, or realise when you may be getting stressed, or know how to just keep you chilled out.
Yeah.
And if you're a really young parent, that might be that person. I think the important thing is to realise when that is support and help, and when it becomes a hindrance in the studio.
That's right.
And that's, you may not, it's more making the people who are coming in aware of that. You know, there's a point where engineer and producer and yourself may need a real knuckle down and get through particular workload, and having someone who may jump in without really realising the process, or how the process is to make a record, and they might have some comments that are kind of irrelevant or unhelpful. So I think it's good to have the person potentially, once you're comfortable in the studio, to maybe just nip next door to the cafe, or the lounge next door, and just chill out and sort of be around when you need them, but not sort of hover in this actual control room.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, as an artist, it's your song. You want to be working on your vision, and not, like, you know, your parents' version of the song.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think it is good to have. For me, it's like good to have that support person around, but also, you know, kind of at that distance. Like, I had a young artist I was working with a couple of weeks ago, and she had her mum with her, and my studio is quite small, so I was like, do you mind if you just chill in the living room? It's like, is that all good? And she was fine. And then, like, you know, the artist was a bit more comfortable to just be herself with me, and still had her mum close by, but without being too, like,
I think it's a good point, actually, that thing where they can be there help and support, but they may not be able to be as vulnerable, express themselves the same way if their mum or dad's in the room, or one of their best friends are in the room. Whereas with when they're just solely focusing on the music, and maybe the producer's getting a certain thing out of their performance, they can let go of it without being self-conscious.
There's a lot of my songs, I don't like the lyrics that I'm singing. I don't want to have my mum right there. Like, that's a little bit awkward. But we talked a little bit just before about having a strong demo, and, you know, having vision for your own song as the artist. You know how you want the song to turn out in the end. Yeah, but to what extent do you think it's good to have that strong idea of what you want, or to be open to figure it out in the room, and to be, like, you know, open to take ideas from the engineer, from the producer? How do you find that balance for artists, especially emerging artists?
I think it's what you said, it's a balance. It's definitely a combination of the two. I think heading into that day with a really strong framework of what you want, and a strong foundation of what you need out of the day, is really good, because that'll make you feel more relaxed, and it means you can make some probably good fast progress on building your track up. Yeah. But there's, without a doubt, you need to be open to anyone's idea in the room. And I think that goes for artist, engineer, producer. Got to kind of check the ego thing at times and go, well, potentially those three people are collaborating on making that track for the day. And anyone's idea is valid to an extent. At the end of the day, the artist has got to sell it. They've got to live with it. Yep. So they're the ones fronting the whole thing. Yeah, they front it. It's their final say. But I believe cutting off a good idea can be really detrimental. I think you need to be open. I mean, there's times where an idea has led to a whole reworking of a track that's made it incredible, which if that one little moment hadn't got explored, it wouldn't have led on to that. Yeah. So I think you need to have a strong vision, but know that being creative is being creative. And part of that process is letting new ideas or letting it take you on a journey
Yeah.
through the day, you know?
And be open to try things. Give it a go. See if it works. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, that's kapai. But yeah, like you say, as long as you stick to the kaupapa and stick to what you're comfortable with at the end of the day for the final product, then you'll be sweet.
I think as an artist, you should, at the end of the day, be strong in what you want and follow your idea of the final vision, but it's your call. So in the end, whatever you want,
that's right.
You should be able to do what you want. But remember, it's likely that producer has some great ideas, or they're in the room with you, or you're invited them along, or you're employing them to do that job because they have a huge amount of knowledge and skill base that you can learn off, or to make your track better. That's why they're there for.
And especially if you're, fresh into the studio, recording in the studio is definitely super different from playing the song live, And I think a lot of artists, it takes a while to kind of flip from that live performance singing into studio recording singing or performing, because it's a completely different world. So if there's people in the room that know a lot about recording in the studio, then you should probably be open to take the advice, I reckon. So when you're in the studio for the first or second time, you're probably feeling a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, not quite sure how it's gonna go with some new people, got all this flash gear in the studio, like a mic that costs thousands and thousands of dollars. What's your advice for easing into the studio setting and just getting to that relaxed atmosphere and getting ready to record?
I think, some of it is kind of knowing that's your day. You're kind of, the studio is your space when you book it. If you're paying for it or whatever reason, it's kind of, you need to be able to utilize it for your song. So it's about you, right? But I think it's massively on the heads of the producer to make an artist feel comfortable. I think that's, as a producer, half the time. Like I said before, it's psychological game, and it's making, if I read people when they come in and I figure out, okay, this person might be more jokey to get them relaxed, or I might ask a more personal question, or I'll work out what's a relatable topic, and then I want him to talk about music for a while. It's just chatting, and so that have a good interaction, then you can start bringing in more musical concepts of what the day's about. But I think especially as a younger artist, it's understandable you're going to be nervous. And again, this might be where you have that person initially, whether it's a friend or a parent.
Yeah, true.
But wholeheartedly don't feel it's on you to make that session fully relaxed. It's on the producer. It's foremost their role. That's big part of the job, because you need, they're the ones who's more experienced in that environment. Yeah. They know what they're doing. So, I don't take that on as a young artist as being up to you.
Yeah, and I guess you can kind of separate yourself from the worries of timeline and schedules for the day, because that's kind of the producer and the engineer's role, right? Yeah, so you're just there to do the tune, to sing your heart out, play the music, and let the other people do the dumb stuff. Yeah. So you can focus on the creativity.
Yeah, you're totally right. So that responsibility lies in other people, you know. But if you've got certain little things for yourself, and whether that's favorite track you want to chuck your earpods in, to have chill time when you need it, or just go for a walk, whatever it takes. Anything goes. It's whatever works for you to make you relaxed.
Need a break, need a fresh air, need one of your fluffy toys or something.
I think it's just good to have the confidence to demand those things when you need them. If you need to, if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling stressed, just kind of speak up and say, hey, I want to take a walk, I'm going to ring my friend up and just have a chat and watch a stupid cat video. What do you want to do? And then go back in and start singing again.
Yeah, that's super important, Nate. Just having that confidence as well to say that you need those things, or you need that break, you need that time.
I think you got to call it at the right time. Yeah. And just by changing the environment, getting out of a room.
That's it.
Doing a bit of rock climbing.
Tree climbing, whatever you got around you.
I think, it can kind of reset your brain and then, or move on to something else you can achieve. And it might be, okay, well, we're going to do that bridge guitar part. Yep. We know exactly what we're doing. We'll do that. And then we'll come back to this other bit we're trying to figure out.
That's a good call too.
And then you feel you made progress, and it kind of makes you more relaxed about the day.
Yeah. If you're mucking up on this one trill part of the lead into the chorus or whatever, just leave that. Go work on something else. Come back to it. Yeah. Good call. Can you walk us through what a typical day in the recording studio looks like? I know it's tricky because, some artists some songs will need a whole band record. Some will just be a guitar and vocals. Some will have their backing tracks already. Like, can you just run us through what that schedule might look like? And what happens from the moment that that you walk in?
Well, probably a couple of scenarios, because like saying, it's so different, many different
Exactly.
makeups of what is an artist or a band or a solo artist, acoustic, vocalist, whatever. But if you're in the full band concept, then, often studio day will start at 10 o'clock-ish, right? You get in there with your gear, and generally if you're working with a full band, and part of the band recording thing, drums take most time, right? It's almost the fun. It's almost the big fun part.
This is why I don't record with drums.
Yeah. But as a producer and engineer, that's the fun thing.
Yeah.
Because you're playing with toys all the time, so it's great time. So kind of set drum kit up, setting up mics, people be plugging stuff in around you. So it's just been letting that process go about you. You know, kind of realise that these people need to get everything, all the sound check, mic'd up, plugged in, and then you might start working on the sounds. And as another band member, that's when you might want to go next door, climb a rock wall.
Yeah.
Go play PlayStation.
That's it.
Don't get annoyed at your drummer because it's taking 2 hours.
Yeah, don't micromanage the situation.
Just let everyone get on with the job. So I think there's a lot of downtime in studios when you're in a band situation where other people are working on their parts.
Yeah.
And I think you need to just be aware of that. Go, if you're helpful for the situation, stay in the room. If you're going to be unhelpful and slow it down, get out.
Yeah.
And then probably with the band, you often work through drums, then you're adding bass, overdub guitars, keyboard parts, and then vocals will often come at the end.
Yeah.
It's not a rule, but there's no
that makes
rules.
sense to me.
Yeah, there's no rules making records, but you want that vocalist to have a great built-up track before they sing.
Yeah.
So you sort of realise your day will be in these little pockets as you work through it. And if you're more, say, acoustic guitar and a vocalist walking in, there's a similar thing. You might be initially start on your guitar part. Yeah. You might want to sing your guitar and acoustic guitar, play and sing at the same time. Or you may overdub your vocal. But it'll be the same thing when you walk in, you have a little chat to the producer, maybe listen to some tracks, discuss sort of what you want out of the song, maybe play the demo. Yep. But then it'll be getting your guitar out, tuning, getting mics on it, getting warmed up, and then eventually do a guitar take. Might have a break, then move on to your vocals. So it's, you got to realise that these things happen in stages. And when people need to do the jobs for setting up to the next stage, just be patient. Just realise it's part of what's going on.
And also realise that it's a process, so it's not going to be perfect like straight away. Like you don't have to be like, all of the guitar and everything doesn't have to be perfect, the perfect take or perfectly in time when you start on the vocals, because it's, you can come back to stuff like that, right?
But know that if you're struggling with something, just to let them know, because there's ways around that, and they might not know that you are struggling to play that verse and chorus acoustic guitar part in one go. Yeah. But tell them, and then they go, "Cool, we'll drop it in." That's it. So there's, there's so much technology now to get around things. That it's important to just voice when you're either don't understand the process or are struggling with it. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, for me, coming from like pop, hip hop, R&B kind of recording, like I record like as small sections as I need to get like everything perfect. You don't have to, if you don't feel like recording a whole verse at once, then you can just break it down to 4 lines, you can break it down to 2 lines, you can, whatever you need to get through it, right? What is your general way of doing things when you're recording the vocals? Do you like to break it down to just one verse, just half a verse? Like, do you set up, how many kind of takes would you recommend doing? Yeah, like I know there's no golden rule for this, but what's your kind of ideas?
I think a lot of that does come down to, again, that psychology side of meeting the singer, working out how they work best, and kind of having little discussions around what they're comfortable with. And then a big part is that particular production or genre might dictate it.
That's right.
Like saying, if I'm doing a really layered, slick pop track, I'll without a doubt break it up. I'll be doing each verse at a time, pre-chorus separately, chorus, post-chorus, bridge, all be separate, getting kind of perfect before you move on. And that's generally just working on the lead vocals. And I'll wait till I've got the full lead vocal before I'm doing any BVs. And that might be...
BVs means backing vocals.
That's right, good point. But it's a case of just really zeroing in, and kind of with that genre at times, you may actually want it to feel really uniform for the listener. So you may want it to be cut and pasted, so you may be copying those choruses over, not because the singer can't sing it again, but because you got a perfect containment of what that pop chorus is meant to be. And it's like, well, we want that to be such a comfort zone for the second chorus, you're going to hear the exact same thing again. And that might be a creative decision. But then other times you might be working with a an indie band with guys who've only been in the practice room, or a singer who's, never been in the studio. And that person might just be really unsure of the process, and for both that reason, to get more comfortable, but also a creative reason of getting more dynamics and movement through the vocal. It might be a situation of recording the whole song with them.
Yeah.
And a situation like that will be, I'd often do about 5 takes or 6 takes.
Yeah.
Once they're warmed up, and a take is when you start recording, right? So once the singer's warmed up, then I might do 5 in a row. And I think I often find 5 is about the right amount to comp from. It gives you creatively to be able to concentrate on the difference between the 5 takes. Like by the time I get to number 5, I can still really be clearly knowing that 1 had a bit of a breath croak in the middle and was really cool, and 5, the tail end's more in tune, but I like the breath on the end of 4. So, and that's enough to work on and build that one word even, or the one line.
But yeah, also when you're doing those takes, I think it's cool to be able to take some vocal notes from the producer or engineer who you're recording with, because I think, they'll have some cool ideas. And yeah, I'm quite hands-on when I record with artists, and I always give ideas on different ways to do things. But again, not every artist is different. So some artists might be keen to try those things, and some artists might not be. So everyone's different, but yeah, like we said before, it's good to be open to try those things and those takes, because you've got the takes and you've got the versions. And when you are comping and punching in, I find it's always, punching in is when you're like recording maybe like the final line of a verse or a phrase that you might have messed up in the other takes, and you just want to do this one line better, and so you punch in just to do that one last line. Like, it's always good for me to record a couple lines before that as well, right? Just to lean into it and warm up your vocal into it, so that you're ready to just hit that final line hard.
And the great thing I'll do, especially with a newer singer, or by the time you've worked through the whole song, sometimes often head back to the front of the track and do the first verse again. Because by the time you've spent maybe a couple of hours working with separate parts of the track, and you've finished the last chorus, your voice is warmed up, the comfortability, the confidence is there. So going back and doing that first verse, which is the first thing anyone's going to hear, is great, because you have a really fresh perspective of it as well.
Yeah, sure.
So it's good just coming back to that first verse, I find is really important.
Yeah, it's a good tip for sure. Yeah, since we're talking about vocals, we can just, like you said, vocals, I don't know, we're talking a lot about vocals, but is it an important part of the song? It's literally the one main thing that people come away with. That's what they sing along to. It's what they hear and understand. Let's talk about mic technique. How should someone deliver into a microphone in the studio? Say they rock up with a big noisy ass jacket and jewelry. They want to come in, they want to sing like Beyonce, move around all the time and like get really into it, have their headphones super loud, one ear off. Like, what's your advice when you're trying to record vocals?
Well, it's good. So many, that's a battle, right? Because it's like then you can get to a singer-engineer standoff.
Yeah.
It's like, don't want the jacket. Jacket's noisy.
Yeah.
Get the earrings out. Earrings are noisy.
Yeah.
Bracelets
Jewelry
noisy.
off.
Can all go. It's all got to go.
Sorry.
And then, it's sort of, there's a difference, as I was saying earlier, than between live and studio. So kind of, as a vocalist going into a vocal take, make a record, you want to be comfortable, but there's certain things you kind of need to try and rein in a bit.
Yeah.
And that's like moving around a lot of mic. The sound's going to change, so you kind of want to get direction from the engineer and producer of where to stay a bit more on mic. And you'll get used to that to be able to still deliver a motive performance, but technically be more aware of stuff. You don't want to be dipping your head around. But certain noises, you could do a great take, and then that bracelet whacks the mic stand.
Yeah.
Can't use it. And quite often as well, you get, which I always refer to as seafood, and it's like,
we love it.
Yeah, all that going on, and it's like, always have
Take a sip of water.
Yeah, sip of water. That's the best way to get rid of it. So there's some real practical things that can help you, like kind of, shoes you're wearing, don't clomp around, all stuff like that. So,
and maybe if you don't, like, maybe you want to move around heaps with your mouth, but obviously you don't want to, you got to keep your mouth pretty close to the microphone and pretty at a consistent distance from the mic. But you might find that you can, instead of moving your head around, you can move around your arms or something like that. You can get expressive with other things to compensate for the fact that you have to stand still. All right, a couple times we've kind of used these words a little bit interchangeably already in this corridor. We've talked about producers and engineers. I still get confused about which is what. So let's just talk a little bit about what is the difference between the role of a producer and the role of an engineer.
Well, they definitely cross over without a doubt, and I think traditionally they are real separate roles.
Yeah.
And an engineer came from it's a sound engineer. It's a person who understood the physics of the way sound worked and what the gear did, how a microphone works, why you need a certain microphone for a certain job. But as time's progressed, the engineer is really the person who is in charge of technically the quality of the sound generally, making sure picking the mics, mic placement, running of the digital audio workstation, making sure that recording process runs smoothly. So that's sort of an engineer. And so it's in a nutshell, you could say it's a bit more of a technical role to an extent. You're picking EQs, running compression, making those decisions all the time. And then you have a producer, which is really in charge of the whole creative process. And their production role can be really broad. It's sort of in modern terms, and when I say modern, in the last 20 years, a producer is morphed into, a lot of the time, being someone who programs and co-writes music with the singer, for example. And that's production, that's a producer. Traditionally, a record producer was someone who fully controlled the whole process. They get a budget from a record company. They might pick the band for a singer. They might co-write with the singer. They might decide, I want a string section. I want to book a string section, get them in the studio. They'll be there to direct what the drummer's playing. It might be how the guitar player's parts they're putting down, they might work with the conductor of the strings to get the best out of the string performance. They'll be working with the engineer through the whole mix process. All those things are directing a singer to get the best emotional delivery out of a song. So that's the traditional sense of what a record producer is.
Really just managing everything, right?
Yeah, but it's definitely a really creative role of, I look at it, producers really there to get the best out of the song and the artist. It's like whatever the artist has got at the core of that song is to enhance it as much as possible and make it the best thing it can be. And that's kind of on the producer. Yeah,
understand the artist's vision and do their best to get the best vision possible.
But an engineer and producer can definitely be the same role, where a lot of producers can run the gear. And like you're saying,
most producers do at the moment.
Especially with vocal recording, and a lot of engineers either from the very get-go or after a while move into production.
But also I guess a lot of artists are also self-produced a lot nowadays, right? They're like kind of the ones overseeing their own project and organizing the things and getting, they might be getting their friend in to play the guitar. They might be getting another friend to do some of the beat writing and stuff like that. So I guess you find a lot that artists are producing themselves nowadays?
And definitely, as an artist gets more experience, they know that process. So
That's true.
They can do that more. But I think naturally, as soon as you're in the studio on the day with the producer and you're part of that collaborative process, you're a co-producer. It's like you might...
Co-producer, we like that.
I like co-producer, but
it's a team thing.
It really is. You might be sitting there, even if you're a really new emerging artist or 16-year-old walking to a studio, first time, and you're playing some reference tracks. A producer will work up a whole music bed for you, but as soon as you're saying, hey, I want a snare drum that's more pingy and got more tone on it, or that synth can be more gritty, you suddenly move into that production role yourself. So I think, again, it's not about egos or who controls the process. It's about working together to get the best. But you're sort of co-producing as soon as you're kind of making decisions on
for sure
improving that song yourself.
Right, like I think I got some advice when I was like 20 or something. I was one of the, just do it all myself, record everything myself, make the beats myself, mix everything myself, master everything myself. And someone said, you should have a producer. I'm like, what? I'm already doing all the beats. But like, if I, sometimes you got to realize, where you could be getting some help. Definitely, and where people might know more than you.
And realize your strengths and weaknesses. And I think
it.
That's important as an artist in general. And coming to the studio is really important. And I mean, biggest example is just check out all your favorite artists. They've all got producers.
They all got
And
producers.
they've been making records for 20 years.
Yeah,
but
and you
they're
look
the
at
producers.
like the songwriters, how many just go on Spotify and look at the song credits on like
12
your favorite
12
songs.
writers, 2
12 like
producers,
minimum.
whatever.
Yeah. So it's a big team effort. Like I feel like in Aotearoa especially we have this idea that like music songs that we release has to be this like one, like it's just like one artist, one idea, like this is the one vision and everything. But when you open it up and like when you get more people involved and more like ideas, then it becomes something more magical. Like some of my favorite songs that I've written are like collaboration tracks and songs that have had people work on like from the ground up.
Yeah.
And that's like the LA and like the big music industry method of doing things, that is have lots of producers, have people help out, and everyone can add their own bit of magic.
But if Beyonce's happy to have a producer, then probably an 18-year-old singer from Aotearoa is probably okay to have a producer as well.
And like you say, like making a song is like literally 1,000, 2,000 decisions from like start to finish, right?
Yeah.
And if you have other people that are there to just help totoko you to make those decisions, so it's not just yourself, then that can be really beneficial. I think.
Absolutely.
So yeah, a day in the studio is generally 8 hours, give or take. And sometimes that time flies by, and sometimes that time takes flipping ages. If you're tuning a snare for 20 minutes, that's gonna feel like a long time.
Yeah.
What's your advice for making the most of the day without also feeling like you're rushing? Because sometimes it is hard to like separate the fact that there is time constraints, there's budget constraints. You've only got this day to get it with all the band together. Like, what's your advice in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, first thing is you want to enjoy the day, right?
Yeah, it's got to be a fun day.
Of a creative process of making a record it's fun, or meant to be fun. So I think
it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but a lot of the stuff we talked about earlier with preparation will get you to that point initially. Like you want to turn up, and I think it's great to have that initial, especially if you're going in cold.
Yeah.
Have an initial relaxed chat with the producer, so you're feeling relaxed about things. But then with you and the producer have a plan, and that reference tracks comes into play. So you go, okay, let's start getting the beat down of certain drum sounds you want, or the drum pattern. And I think some initial really kind of progress is good. Once you made a bit of progress, confidence goes up for everybody, and you feel we've got something in the bag that's working now. So, and then you can start experimenting more. So I think having a clear idea of foundation of what you need, ticking those things off, and then you can start working on maybe some more creative ideas, and so that you feel that if worst case scenario you've got in the bag as such, And I think it's making the right call when to move on to vocals as well.
Yeah.
And get lead vocalists to kick in a time when the track's built up enough for them to feel really good about the vibe of it.
Yeah.
But this and I think the producer should be a bit of in charge of that timeline.
Yeah.
It's not up to the artist or the band to dictate
Agreed.
that.
Yeah.
They should rely on engineer producer say, hey, this is how we're going to get the best
guiding
out
you
of
through it.
all you guys during the day, and how we want to sort this out. So I think trust them on that process.
Yeah.
And I think, the producer or the engineer yourself, work your day in so that you're hitting the vocals, again, being the most important aspect of that track, at a time that's the most comfortable for the singer.
And you always want to try plan those sessions for when, you haven't had like a super big day. Because like if you've been super busy with something, then you're going to be a bit tired. You're not going to have the energy. So it comes down to that planning and scheduling things right, and just being aware of what else is going on, I guess.
And I think and also there's bits where some people get real caught up on micro things, and it's like they want to explore whether adding another hi-hat in the second verse is going to help, and trying some EQ on it, and that's okay, maybe that's a mixed decision or arrangement decision that can happen later.
So you set up one of the biggest studios in Aotearoa, didn't you, Chris?
One of them. Something like that.
You got one here, you got one across the road there. Yeah. How many rooms total?
It's about 4 rooms running.
Four rooms running. That's impressive for a small country of Aotearoa to be able to run a studio like that. I think that's awesome. Setting up all those studios, what is the most important things for you to have in a studio? Can you just give us a bit of a rundown of what some of the main things are in the studio environment, just so it's all a bit less scary when you come into the
I think
room.
kind of whether you're running a studio complex like us, or like Bigpop does,
complex,
or you're a solo artist at home doing your own recording.
Yeah.
or producing people from home, whatever it is, a great vocal chain or one great signal flow chain is brilliant, and that's like means a really good mic.
Yeah.
Good mic pre, great compressor if you're using a compressor on the way in. But those three key elements is your source sound, and you can it's cumulative again. So if your whole signal chain is say 5% better than another signal chain, and you got 150 tracks in your finished song, then having that 5% difference is going to accumulate into a much better sounding track. So I think there's a technical aspect of having that knowing certain gear, what it does, and it's really important to have good gear for that aspect. And and coming from engineering background, I love gear. And so there's a technical gear. And what it comes down to is kind of the most important aspect. And that's, say, most important outside of the personnel. Because great engineers and producers can use lesser gear and get something great out of it still. So I think, but get that gear. And then the second part of a studio, I think, environment, when again, this can be back to a solo artist at home doing their own stuff or bigger facility, is kind of the aesthetic vibe of it. You kind of want a room that is, and a whole environment with everything involved in that space that makes you feel creative, makes you feel relaxed and inspired. I'm a great believer in having great gear at the source and environment that inspires people to make great creative decisions in that. Yeah.
And like, I guess the studio is going to look a lot different depending on what kind of song you're doing as well. Like I feel like a lot of people might, have an idea of what a studio is going to look like. They might think, see in movies that it's going to have a big ass control desk with a whole lot of knobs, whole lot of like bleepity bloopy gear things everywhere. But like if you're just coming in to a studio to do like vocal recording, it might just, like you say, it might just have a mic and it might have the pre and a compressor going into an interface and then like some nice speakers, and like that's all you need in that situation, right?
And I think that's it, and you've got to realize, this whole thing with those large format console, like a big recording and mixing console, can be quite a daunting thing, but it literally is just 48 mic pre into a compressor. It's 48 of those in a row. So you can use one, they will do the same thing. So it's it can be, having a lot of physical analog gear around can be quite daunting. But people are real happy to jump on Pro Tools or Logic or Ableton and use a compressor. The controls are the same thing as the hardware gear.
That's right.
So you it's all about getting the best sound out of the gear, whether it's software or hardware.
And it's always a plus if the studio is a nice place to hang out.
Totally.
What do you think is something that's not talked about enough when it comes to recording and a day in the studio? What do you think is something that's overlooked a lot in this kind of mahi?
I think sometimes it's whether the song is good enough. Is the artist ready? Is it the right time to do this for an artist? I think some of those questions need to be, and those discussions need to happen on the day or hopefully going to the studio. But it's just because you have a song doesn't mean it's ready to record yet. I think you need to you want to put your best foot forward. And I think sometimes people aren't honest enough in looking at the weaknesses in their track or their writing or them as an artist yet to go, well, am I ready to actually deliver in the studio yet?
These are tough questions, Chris. These are tough questions.
They're big questions, and people don't necessarily want to discuss them, but it's like, to get the best out of what your art, you need to make sure you can deliver the best thing, and sometimes that's on you.
For sure.
It's not the gear, it's not the engineer, it's not the producer, it's like, are you ready? And making sure you have troubleshoot as much as you can yourself to get it as good as you can. A little bit what we talked about before. Another aspect, I think, is that with the way technology with so much, obviously, home recording things going on, but it is kind of, I think, the art of engineering a bit has been lost a little bit, and the importance of the gear and making sure that you are getting that best source sound. Those things, I think, probably aren't discussed or sort of people maybe not educated as much on as they could be or should be.
I guess that's something I struggled with a little bit when I was in my younger days. I just felt like I was in a rush and I just wanted to get things done like super quick and smash it out, get the song out, like, and just like, I had this kind of burning fire in myself, but like that didn't always result in the best product possible.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, I've had to have some difficult discussions with artists at times to say, well, right now this track isn't good enough. We need to do more work on it, or these are some aspects that can make it better, or maybe the song shouldn't be on the record. You know, that's those. Sometimes I think unfortunately, you need to have those sort of discussions at times for the sake of the artist. One album I was making with my band, where we had started the record, and we basically had a full national tour booked. In September, and we had to have the album released by October. And hindsight, though, the album, we should have taken a break. We should have left it to the following year. But that whole mechanism and machine has started working, and so to fulfill that thing of having the tour, we kind of pushed through it. But you know, the album could have been better if we'd taken more time.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, eh?
Yeah,
hindsight. Those ones are hard. Hindsight brings nothing like the clarity that hindsight brings, eh?
I'm also a firm believer in trying to encourage young artists to get totally immersed in the studio. And that might mean if you're making a 4 or 5 track EP, spend a week with the engineer producer.
Because nothing's better than getting
so
in that
much fun.
vibe, eh?
Yeah, and I mean, I've had some great experience in my life and great relationships with people.
Getting deep in the project like that.
And just you're in each other's pockets and you just surviving on creativity
for the best
between
and for
you
the worst
to make this incredible project. So I think I've noticed, I think a lot of younger artists are missing out on that experience a bit. So I think trying to explore that when they can is really essential for creative growth.
We're all juggling a whole lot of different things in our lives. Music's, you know, even for me as a full-time musician, like it's still like juggling a whole lot of different things and organizing gigs, organizing whatever, and then like I got to just get in the studio for a few hours and flick over to like music mode. It can be
artist mode,
on
studio-wise,
and that's
tough.
It can be tough. And so if you do get those opportunities to be able to block out like a week to work on a project or something, I think that's like, like you say, that is a really special time to give yourself as an artist.
Because I think it's nice you'll be able to look back on that time as a really special experience. Because it's so intensive and you can kind of really explore creative aspects that you sometimes can't tap into in a 2-hour block. If you artists ever get to do it, they should.
One of like my album, The Bridge that I did in 2019, I ended up just staying. I was like in between flats, going through a breakup, so I ended up just like living out at the studio at this little, like, they got a little bush hut that's like at the bottom of the property out in Titirangi, and I was just living out there and walking up to the studio, starting the day at like 10, 11, and just getting in with Chris the engineer and just mixing the album, working on it from, you know, till 10, 11 till 10 or 11 at night, and then just walking down the hill and going to sleep, and then started, and and it was a blast. Totally. Like it was like we got so deep in it, we really felt like we were working on something special, and like whew, it's been a good kōrero. Thank you, Chris. Really enjoyed this and got lots of good gems. I think we got one final partai for you, if that's cool. If you could give one piece of advice to finish on to someone who's going into the studio, an emerging artist going in the studio for the first time, what would that be?
I think it sounds kind of cliche and boring, but to really enjoy that day. And so I think you got to realize that what you're about to do on that day, only a small handful of people out of the population of the world get to do that.
That's
experience that. So I think you kind of realize that you're doing something unique that a lot of people won't ever get the chance to do. So going with the open mind of getting the most out of every song, doing something creative for yourself, and just soak up the whole environment and the experience and appreciate the time.
Don't forget to have fun.
Because you hopefully want to make records and write and record your whole life, but you never know what's going to happen. So, you know, treat each day in the studio as a kind of a magical thing.
Because like we say, there's so many other things you have to do even as a musician, and so the creating part, like that's supposed to be the fun part.
Totally. That's why we do it.